ChatGPT. Relate ACIM to the movie The Object of My Affection. The Object of My Affection through the lens of A Course in Miracles, ACIM. The Object of My Affection is a profound exploration of attachment, expectations, special relationships, and the difference between loving someone and trying to get our needs met through them. Through the lens of ACM, it becomes a powerful classroom on the ego's version of love versus the Holy Spirit's version of love. At the heart of the film is Nina's love for George. The challenge is that George cannot fulfill the role Nina wants him to play. This creates one of the most universal spiritual lessons. Can I love someone without demanding that they be different? The ego's relationship formula. The ego approaches relationships with an invisible contract. It says, I will love you if you will complete me, you will meet my needs, you will make me happy. The problem is that the other person rarely follows the script. Throughout the movie, Nina deeply loves George, but she also wants him to fit an image she has created. This is the essence of what ACIM calls the special relationship. The special relationship is not built upon love, it is built upon need. Loving the image. One of the central themes of the movie is the tension between loving a real person and loving an idea about that person. Nina sees George's kindness, sensitivity, and companionship and naturally wants more. The ego often does this. It finds qualities it values and then creates a fantasy around them. The fantasy becomes more important than reality. ACIM teaches that suffering often arises when we attempt to substitute our projection for what actually is. The movie beautifully illustrates the pain that occurs when reality refuses to conform to expectation. The desire to change someone. The ego believes happiness would be possible if only certain conditions were met. In relationships, this often appears as, if only they were different, if only they loved me the way I want, if only they fulfilled the role I need. George's orientation and life path prevent him from becoming the partner Nina imagines. The conflict emerges because reality and expectation do not match. Teaches that peace begins when we stop asking the world to conform to our demands. Forgiveness is not changing another person. Forgiveness is releasing our insistence that they be different. Friendship versus possession. One of the film's most beautiful themes is the distinction between connection and possession. Nina and George genuinely care about one another, yet the ego constantly attempts to transform love into ownership. The special relationship says, if I love you, you should belong to me. The holy relationship says, because I love you, I want you to be free. This is one of the deepest lessons in the movie. Love expands when freedom is allowed. Love contracts when control enters. The child as a symbol. The child in the story represents innocence and shared purpose. Throughout, children often symbolize the untouched innocence beneath the ego's demands. The child becomes a reminder that love can take forms beyond the conventional roles people expect. Life is often richer and more mysterious than the ego's plans. Expectations and suffering. The movie repeatedly demonstrates a principle that sits at the center of. Suffering often comes from expectation rather than circumstance. Nina suffers not because George lacks love. She suffers because the form of love differs from what she expected. The ego confuses love with a specific outcome. Spirit recognizes love regardless of form. This shift in perception is the beginning of healing. Letting go. By the end of the film, a deeper understanding begins to emerge. Love does not always look the way the ego imagines. Sometimes love means allowing another person to follow their own path. Sometimes love means releasing the fantasy while preserving the connection. Teaches that every relationship becomes holy when its purpose shifts from getting to giving, from possession to blessing. The central reflection. The ego watches the object of my affection and asks, why can't this relationship become what I want it to be? The Holy Spirit watches the object of my affection and asks, can I appreciate the love that is here without demanding a different form? Viewed through the movie is not really about romantic fulfillment. It is about releasing projections and learning to love without possession. Nina's journey reflects the movement from expectation toward acceptance, from fantasy toward reality, and from need toward genuine appreciation. The deepest message may be, love suffers when it demands a particular form. Love heals when it recognizes the value of another person exactly as they are and allows them the freedom to be themselves. Go to mwg.org to find full movie and commentary by David Hoffmeister.